Hey everybody, you're watching Voice of the Heroes. This is Michael Yurchak, voice of Toby and Obito from Naruto Shippuden, Hawkeye from Sailor Moon, Jet the Hawk from Sonic the Hedgehog, a whole bunch of other guys, and you're in for a treat here. So keep it on.
Welcome back to the channel. This is Voice of the Heroes podcast. And if you're new here, man, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click that notification bell so you can stay updated with our weekly podcast and future interviews from your favorite heroes and villains. Today, we have an awesome and amazing co-host guest. Allow me to introduce Hidden Rose and Milo Uchiha. Go ahead, fellas. Let them know where to find you at.
What's good, y'all? It's Hidden Rose. You can find me on YouTube as Hidden Rose. I do a lot of gaming content on there. And I also do anime reactions on Hidden_Rose. That's on Twitch. So go ahead and hit that follow button.
My name is Milo Uchiha. You can find me on YouTube, Milo Uchiha. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram. And I mainly play a lot of anime games. I just recently started introducing new anime games, but I mainly started from Naruto. So it's an honor to talk to y'all.
And now, speaking of an honor, we got some special guests in the building. Let me introduce. First, we have a shinobi with an arsenal of ninja tools at her disposal. You might have seen her swinging through Gotham or on Wolverine in that X-Men animated show as Kitty Pryde. Danielle Judovits, welcome to the show. Let them know where they can find you at.
Hi, that was such a cool intro. I'm terrible, but you can find me on social media. I'm not super active, but my name just at Danielle Judovits on Instagram. And thanks for that awesome intro, man.
No problem. Next, we have the green beast of Konoha, Bushy Brows himself. That's right. Rock Lee is in the building. Brian Donovan, welcome.
Guess whose birthday it is?
It's Rock Lee's birthday. Happy belated birthday to Rock Lee, man.
Woo. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me, you guys. Always a pleasure to talk about Naruto and all things anime. And this is a special treat for me because Danielle and I have never, well, I can say that we have done one before. We've never done one so intimately with just the two of us. So this is very exciting. And we don't really see each other at all, which I'm sure you guys have heard if you've seen any panels or any interviews. I just met Guy Sensei in June for the first time, if you can believe that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. So what we do is we go into the booth by ourselves. But anyway, long story short, I'm Brian Donovan. Thank you so much for having me. We can get into more of the stuff as we go. But thank you guys. Appreciate it. Really do.
Thank you for coming up. Do y'all have any conventions or anything coming up? Y'all got anything going on right now?
I guess I'll plug myself. Right. Forgot that part. Brian Donovan _1. I got my little baby in my hand. Who's not a baby anymore, but you can find me on Instagram. That's probably my most active. And I do have some conventions coming up. I'm doing Abilene, Texas this Saturday and Sunday. And then for the first time, I'm going to New York. I'm going to Brooklyn to Infinite Collectibles December 9th and 10th. So I'll be in the big city for the weekend of the 9th and 10th. And those are my last two. That's the last splash. And this is my last interview, too, for the year. So, boom, boom. Crescendo, baby. Crescendo.
That's amazing. Danielle, you got anything coming up? Any conventions?
No, Brian, I'm actually inspired by him. I just got a con agent recently, so I'm just gonna start dipping my toes into it. We'll see. I've shied away, but we'll see. Probably some in 2024, but none that I know of yet.
That's great.
All right, so I have a question that pertains to the both of you guys, because a lot of people over the world, myself included, have grown up to your iconic voices. So we've heard you throughout the years, But I want to kind of get into the story of how did you guys discover your talent for voice acting? How did you get into it?
Yeah, I was, in 1987, I was on a date. It was dark. And I was talking, and the girl was like, "Oh, you got a babe. That voice. And no, none of that is true. I was, when I was in elementary school and middle school and high school, I did plays and musicals, and I always loved performing, and my little sister loved performing. She was my best friend, my soulmate, and honestly, the fact that we just love performing together just kind of egged each other on, encouraged each other, bolstered our confidence. So I really attribute a lot of my early, love of it to my sister, Kelly. And then when I got to college, that was kind of the turning point for me because I actually have a business degree, but throughout college, I had a minor in communication. I kept doing plays. But the big difference was I was on the radio. They had a radio station, and my freshman year, they're like, "Hey, we got a radio station. If anybody's interested in being a DJ, this is the process." So I went to the first meeting, and I was super ecstatic. I was super excited to see that was an opportunity. So I spent 4 years on the radio when I was in college, and that was kind of what fine-tuned, my love of the mic, so to speak. And also, as Danielle will attest, I mean, it's very different acting in front of a mic. A lot of people in fact, at cons, I get people come up to me and like, "Hey, people say I have this great voice," and I was like, "You do, but can you sustain that character for 4 hours in a gaming session? Can you,
Right.
You know what I mean?" And so there's, everybody can kind of do their Mickey Mouse impression, etc. But it's really just having the tool and conditioning yourself. And so, which brings me full circle to the radio days. I was able to like really exercise that muscle, if you will, and really get comfortable in front of the mic, understand the mic, things like that. And then and then I left to LA, which is another part of the story. But that was like, in the end, I had to pursue the dream and deliver the car out to LA, and kind of the rest is history. But again, I would say that the radio days were like the big turning point for me in my life. And
so Rock Lee was a DJ once before.
He was on the mic. Rock Lee ripping the mic.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You just thought he was a handsome devil. No, man, he's got skills.
Okay.
Anyway, Danielle,
No surprise.
what do you got?
Okay, so my story's not as fun and cool and exciting. I actually am from LA. I'm a Valley girl, born and raised. And like Brian and many other people, grew up doing musicals, musical theater. That was like my first love from literally like 4 or 5 years old, like since I could talk, basically. And I very quickly got an agent and started doing like some on-camera stuff, and pretty quickly my agent told my parents, she should try voiceover. And back then, it's not like it is now. Everyone's like, "What voiceover? What's that?" But I got pretty lucky, and at a very early age booked like pretty cool, iconic shows on like Nickelodeon and Disney, and it just sort of spiraled from there. And I much preferred doing VO to doing on camera, and so just kind of stuck with it and been doing it ever since.
That's great. Speaking of voice acting, I heard you mention something about a gaming session. I don't know if y'all two heard about the controversy online with the new Storm Connections video game that was recently released November 17th, but there was mixed reactions with not only the Naruto fandom, but also the voice acting community for Naruto English dub voiceovers. Via IGN put out something saying Bandai Namco has denied using AI voices in the Naruto to Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, but has promised to address the dialogue issues. In a recent statement regarding the reports about several voiceover lines in Storm Connection, Bandai Namco Entertainment has confirmed the lines in question are not AI generated, but the result of inconsistency during the editing and mastering process. The spokesman said, "We regret that we raised concern with the anime community and the voice acting community, but we are working hard to fix this." So my question to both of you are, did you happen to work on Storm Connections? Did you allow them to use your voices? And how do you feel about, companies using AI for voice actors or actors' likeness and things like that?
Go ahead, we're getting into it. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, look, here's the reality. It is a reality. It's coming, whether we like it or not. I mean, if you ask our opinion, of course, it slaughters the thing that we've worked so hard to do and be really good at, right? But nothing's permanent but change. I say that lightly with some air on the interview, but really, if you talk to my soul as an actor, it's brutal, it's crushing, and also financially, it's crushing. Almost a year ago now, my friend who's in production, he's on the other side, small little production outfit in Buffalo, where I'm from, and he sent me 5 iterations of my voice from a $60 AI app, and needless to say, I was very concerned. I'm hard to match in AI, still a little bit, but it was close enough if you didn't know me. And then there was 5 iterations, which basically means 5 versions, right? He slowed it down, he made it deeper, and I was like, the end is near, They don't quite have the nuances for video games or animation yet, because there's still emotional stuff. There's still a lot of, there's stuff that they haven't mastered in AI yet, but it's coming. It's coming. And, that's what we fought for. That's what the strike was about. A lot of it was about AI and the future of AI. The big problem is no one knows how fantastical it's going to be. My best guess is in 3 to 5 years, I probably won't have voiceover work. I would say it would be slim pickings if they're still going to use, people. But, again, that's
3
just
to
me.
5 years?
She's like, whoa, what are you talking about? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. No,
3 to 5 years.
I really do, because I think, I actually sat on a plane with someone in post-production who works on a lot of Apple shows. And I'm talking on camera, but they do a lot of ADR, right? It's all the sweetening stuff, the loop group, all the voices, right, that they sweeten the shows with. And it's called loop grouping and ADR. Anyway, it's a part of a lot of our careers, some of us. And but she was saying they want AI so badly because I can't even tell you how easy it is to generate those voices. I can't even tell you how easy it is not to bring someone in or to negotiate or pay residuals. Or I can't even tell you how easy it is to lip sync. Like if there's a mistake or we need to change something, rather than bring the actor in for $800, $900, we can just go to the computer, type in the new words, and then they can spit it out. So economically, it's where it's all going. I mean, it's hard to argue. And again, the technology is getting so good that, you're not even gonna be able to tell. The reason they got busted for the game is I believe they did generate some of that stuff. They manipulated some of the stuff that had been pre-recorded. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever be able to prove that necessarily.
Yeah, I've actually had the chance to talk to a friend of the show, Michael Swalby. He voice acts Kawaki from Boruto Next Generation, and he said he hasn't done no work for Storm Connections. If you go to Shonen Games on Twitter, he shows like side-by-side voice acting for Storm 4 dubbed and the Storm Connections. And I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like you can actually hear the AI. Like you don't hear no passion in the voices. So Danielle, how do you feel about this situation?
I mean, Brian gave me a heart attack when he said 3 to 5 years. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, listen, it's something voice actors, we're all talking about like every day. And like he said, the reality is it's not going anywhere. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, I want to keep working. I think there's always going to be a difference between a real human and an AI. But I welcome technology and I believe in it. And I think it's freaking awesome. So I don't know if there's like a cool way to just like meld the two, which again was what I think they were trying to work on with the strike. I don't know that necessarily what the actors got is the best, but that's a whole other conversation. So I wish I had the answers. I think I'd be rich if I did. But obviously I love what I do and I want to keep doing it. So yeah, it's kind of scary.
Well, the other thing too is that you're noticing, whether it's AI or not, is when you have a legacy show that has a huge following, they're gonna make millions every game release, right? They start to get lazy. Like production starts to get lazy. I mean, that's just the reality. They're just trying to spit this stuff out, so they're not doing the checking that they admitted to. They're not doing, that was obviously a cover for some of the AI, but it's also true. They're not doing the money. Like even on the show, when I go in to record stuff now, if it's a legacy show that we've been doing for a long time, you can tell it gets bare bones. Like there are not a lot of people involved. When I first started doing Naruto, there'd be 4 or 5 people in the room. The first year, there was 4 or 5 people always making sure you said things perfectly or making sure, it's like it was involved. It was expensive. They were spending money. And now I go in and it's me and the engineer / director. So now the engineer is typically the director, which was never the case. I mean, that whole model's kind of changed in general, but they're just trying to cut costs, save money, spit stuff out, and hope people good. But I'm actually glad, I'm thrilled that there was backlash for this because
it's a lot. Actually the game is the worst selling Storm game in the franchise, and people are not supporting or buying the game at all.
Yeah.
So,
and what I'm glad, because I mean, if we did that in politics, if we did that in, consumerism, it's brilliant because it sends a very clear message that, F you, We're not going to buy crap. If you're not going to take the time to like generate quality, etc., or tell us the truth, then we're not buying or we're not voting for you, etc. And those that's great. I mean, the backlash is great. We have the power, and I think we forget that. Like we forget that as consumers, we forget that as constituents in politics. We forget, we get complacent or apathetic, and ultimately we'll pay the price, or they will. And it's nice to see that they're paying the price now for churning out shit. Frankly, and I apologize too on behalf, because I wasn't involved, and I pride myself in quality in general, certainly over quantity, and that's kind of how I roll. And so yeah, it's disappointing.
So shout out Shonen Games on Twitter for bringing that awareness, because he put side by side of the original voice acting to the whatever they did with Connections. Milo, do you have any questions?
I got a question for both of you. Are you guys hype about the future for Boruto?
You know what? I'm not involved very at all. I'm not sure how much you are, Danielle, but I'm not. My character, Rock Lee, sadly, is not a big part of Boruto, and I don't really know that much about Boruto, other than initially the fans were disappointed, the storyline was, and and then it kind of revved up a little bit. And now I guess there's a solid fandom, but I just don't know, to be honest with you. I can't really answer that.
Yeah, Tenten's character just kind of just like sprinkled throughout. So again, same like Brian, like I'm not super involved. I've done like a handful of sessions, but yeah, nothing like Naruto. So
yeah,
Rose, you got a great follow-up question for that, right?
I mean, something kind of, but I don't want to get into Boruto right now. I kind of have a question for Brian, because Rock Lee is a fan favorite character in the series, right? Especially in part 1 in Naruto. His character design is unique. His fighting style is really cool. But I think most people fell in love with Rock Lee through his ninja way, right? The philosophy of achieving your dreams through hard work. Did his philosophy impact you in any way in your life?
That's a great question. It's funny because I get a similar version of that question often, as you can imagine.
Right.
And I would say that because I've been doing them for 18 years, there's definitely some bleed. There's some synergy, right, between my own philosophy in life and Rock Lee's. But I'm not gonna lie. Like I have very few things on my desk that aren't my family, and this little figurine.
There he goes.
Because Rock Lee has become such a it's like blurry, but yeah, I mean Rock Lee has become such a big part of my life. And I think if you talk to Danielle or me or anybody involved in Naruto, none of us knew that it would blow up and be as big, as it is. When we signed up and got the gig, it was like, woo, we got a job. But, and you jump up and down every time you get a job. But, the fact that it's gone on for 18 years, I grew up with this guy. He grew up with me. A lot of my things have changed in my own life. I've lost people that I love. I've gained people, getting married, having kids and a dog and and a house. I mean, so like we've, and of course Rock Lee grew up, right? So that is very rare, and it's a real treat as an actor to be able to spend that kind of time with the character and developing him. And so all the things, and the reason I have this figurine to answer your question is because it is a nice reminder, because even though I'm positive and kind of cup half full kind of guy, life is hard and there's a lot of challenges and a lot of ups and downs. And so, yeah, I need a reminder, just like everyone else, that, a hero is, I'll do the voice for you just because. A hero is not one who never falls. They are the one who get up again and again, never losing sight of their dreams. And so that's it. It's, that's the difference, right? That's the difference for all of us. It's like heroes to me are people that get out of bed every day. I mean, really, it's that simple, because it can be hard to get out of bed. And, especially if you're going through some dark stuff so I need that reminder. I think everybody needs that reminder. That's why I love Bushy Brow. I think that's why a lot of people do love Bushy Brows, for that ninja way. And, it is a lot of hard work. I tell everybody I'm very fortunate because I'm a motivational speaker for high school kids and beyond. But I use Rock Lee a lot because, I'm a cheerleader for dreams, but I also quickly tandem that with dreams are a lot of hard work. You know, you'll hear the story about the magic wand, the person that got super duper lucky, or the lotto winner, but really 99% of people that have achieved any sort of dream or a version of the dream that they had work their ass off. I mean, there's no shortcuts. And so I think that's also good to remind people, you know, with Rock Lee, it's like, you know, to be your best self takes a lot of hard work, you know, but if you do the work, you will reap rewards. You know, your dream might not look exactly like you thought it would, or, you know, this perfect version of a dream. Mine certainly haven't, but a lot of my dreams have come true. And so I've witnessed it in myself, other people that I know and love, but you got to do the work, you know? And I think, again, the ninja way and never giving up and hard work, that's awesome, you know? And that's why I have this little figurine on my desk to remind myself, you know, especially those days and I don't feel like doing the work, you know?
All right, I have a question for both of you. Were you two familiar with the characters before getting cast as Tenten and Rock Lee? You know, did y'all read any of the manga material or watched any of the subtitle animation beforehand?
So I knew nothing, not a thing. I was still in high school at the time, like not really.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man. It's been a long journey because I'm not in high school anymore. No, I just got the call to audition, didn't know literally nothing, knew nothing, just got my little one sheet of paper, maybe like 6 lines or something, and that was it. I don't even know if there was a character description. So no, I don't know about Brian, but I knew absolutely nothing. Didn't even know how to pronounce it for literally like the first like 3 years. Every time I would say Naruto, they would have to correct me because I didn't know how to say it. So.
That's funny. What about you, Brian?
Well, here's the beauty of voice work. I was probably 38 when Danielle was 18. and we played ninja peers and friends. Yeah, I mean, I'm old. I'm a super old fart. And, you know, I didn't know that much. I was a little more aware, I think, only because I had done Digimon. And I had done the second year Digimon as Davis. And so I was starting to hear more and more about, you know, anime and more about, you know, obviously Digimon and the success of Digimon. And then there was, you know, chit chat about this new show, Naruto, that was a big hit in Japan. But of course, you never know if anything's going to, I mean, you know, there's plenty of shows that have started like they're a big hit in Japan, you know, or they think this anime is going to be the next Naruto, right? Or the next Dragon Ball, and they crash and burn. You see them a season or two and they're done. So you just don't know. So even though there was chit chat and a lot of buzz about Naruto, you know, no one knew, again, that it was going to go 18 years and keep going now through Boruto, etc. But I didn't know that much specifically about the show, and I certainly didn't know that much about the character, which is not unusual because, as Danielle can tell you, when you audition, it is very rare that you get anything beforehand. Like especially for voice work, you go in. I mean, I literally went in and there was stuff laid out, sides. They're called sides, you know, and maybe they might have the picture of the character, they might not. They typically have at least a description of the character, right? I don't even remember what Rock Lee's was specifically, but and then based on that description, and then you see the lines that you're auditioning, you got to make quick decisions, you know, and that's why I say to everyone, take an improv class if you are pursuing this business, because you got to wing it. So often you just got to wing it, and it's got to be quick. You got to make quick decisions. And then even if you make the decision, you know, I had this idea, okay, I went outside because Rock Lee, as you know, is very passionate and he yelled a lot. And so I was like, oh, okay, I gotta work some of this out. And then of course he doesn't speak with any contractions. And so I was like, no one talks like that. I am, you know, it's like, no one speaks like that. And so I just had to work a few things out. But then when you go in, then you got to be ready to change it, because the director will be like, we like that, but let's try to do this, or let's bring more of the sincerity to it, or bring more sarcasm to it, or bring more, you know, whatever, darkness. And so then you got to change it then there. So anyway, my answers are way too long, but yeah,
we love it. We here for it. And I'm pretty sure our heroes watching, they're loving every bit of it too. Now Rock Lee did catch on with the fandom like wildfire. It was so awesome, in fact, that you end up getting your own spinoff. How cool was that?
Oh, that's the dream, man. I mean, that is the dream. I wish more people have seen this spinoff. but that is the dream. I mean, my God, it's like knowing, and of course I didn't have anything to do with that. That was all predetermined in Japan and what have you. And so, but it was thrilling to do. There was 49 episodes. Again, I wish more people, saw it because I thought it was super cute and super fun, very different than the original show. And then of course, as you mentioned, I kind of drop off in Shippuden, and our team does. And so, so that's disappointing. And I, and I'm sure when on the trail of cons, she'll get the same memo from fans. It's very disappointing to fans. There was a real love of those characters, but they start to taper out. We're still present. It's great. And I think we were very lucky too, because just Naruto, the original before Shippuden, was really the thing that so many people watched during the pandemic. And so, we got a nice, people sunk into us, quite a bit during those very formative year of the pandemic. So I feel very fortunate in that way.
I'll be the first to tell you, man, it's damn right heartbreaking what they did to some of y'all characters, especially Neji and Shippuden. I think Neji caught it the worst. So,
That's dying. That'll do it to you. That's the worst. I don't know if there's much worse than that.
Because I asked the community before I did the interview, I said, hey, look, I got the pleasure of interviewing Brian and Danielle today. If y'all have any questions, if they're good questions and suitable for the podcast, I'll ask them. Manuel RG and Pep Step on YouTube. Manuel asks, for Rock Lee, what is your favorite dialogue or line from Rock Lee in the show? And then Pep Step asks, you've been the voice of Rock Lee and Tenten throughout the entire Naruto franchise, from the shows, movies, video games, etc. What do you feel was the hardest scene to dub? So that's a two-part question. Big shout out to Pep Step and Emmanuel RG on YouTube. So I guess let's go with what was the hardest scene to dub in the franchise for you two?
Hardest. That's a good question.
I'm just gonna say my very first session, because I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I didn't know who Pen was. I didn't know anything about her, so I'll just go with that one, because I was probably pooping my pants. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a great answer. I mean, honestly, I would probably say that was the most challenging, because when even though you get cast in something, you're still insecure. And every once in a while, you'll read, like, if you do enough research, even the greats, the megastars, they will unearth something insecure about, a role they took or something like that. And so, like, everybody goes through that. And when you're working out a new character, again, even though you've just been cast, you got the job, you're going for the first session, you're still really nervous because you don't want to get fired. You don't want to blow it, you're still kind of working it out in your DNA, right? Like, what am I doing? Like, I just got caught. Like when I got cast, I was like, oh my God, what did I do exactly? Like, I was trying to remember, like, what I actually did that made Rock Lee. Fortunately, for voice work, often they'll play you, the source track of, like, your audition. They'll be like, okay, well, this is what you did in the audition, this is what we liked, and then you kind of go from there. But you'll if you go back to the first 10 episodes of Naruto, I guarantee you, or I don't come in until the 20th, I think, or whatever it is, but I guarantee you, if you listen to the first 5 episodes of any character on Naruto, it'll sound a little different than the iconic voice you're used to. I don't mean like in a discernible necessarily way where you're like, oh my God, that's a different actor, or AI, it's nothing that extreme, but you'll see that there's a fluidity that comes later on as you start to really
growth.
Just growth and getting in there and getting in your DNA and, like, being able to show up in the studio and just kind of knocking it out, as opposed to, like, the first 10 episodes where you're like, you don't feel that confident. You're trying to remember what you did in the last session or in the audition. You don't want to blow it. You don't want to get fired, etc. So that's a great answer, Danielle. And as far as my favorite line, I already said it. A hero is not one who never falls. They are the one who get up again and again, never losing sight of their dreams. The other one that I love and the fans love, obviously, is my motto. My motto is to be stronger than yesterday. If I have to, I'll be stronger than a half a day ago, even a minute ago, So, I mean, as you know, Rock Lee screams almost everything, certainly his big favorite lines. And then there's the iconic, Leaf Hurricanes and Primary Lotus and, all that stuff. But I find myself saying those a lot at Comic Cons.
That's dope. Rose.
Like, do you have any insider information on who Metal Lee's mother is? And if
That's
not,
what-
like, who's your speculation on who the mother could be? Because, like, I've heard a lot of things. Obviously, Tenten is the biggest, like, it was it Tenten, but then there's also been stuff of, oh no, he went to Orochimaru and he's like, hey, can you clone me? And then that's how Metal Lee came. And then some people are even saying it's probably Guy's kid too, like, just crazy stuff, right? So I'm just curious, like, what is your take on it?
Well, look, man, I have no idea, to be honest with you. My take on it, though, is 10-10. And I don't say that just because Danielle's on the line here. I didn't even know she was in high school when she started the show, just to make that clear. But no, I when people ask me, and I get this a lot at cons, who's Metal Lee's mom, and I mean, it makes the most sense. Like, if you want to play the game of like what would be the most fanciful and silly answer, like, my God, you could have a blast, and I think, you already rattled off a couple examples of that. But I think the most realistic is probably 10-10. And I've always personally loved 10-10's character. Not that I'm mad. I don't know what that brings to it as far as Rock Lee loving 10-10's character. But yeah, I mean, it makes the most sense in the storyline. But I mean, it's really interesting to me, frankly, that, Rock Lee's origin story was never explained. Now Metal Lee's like this mystery. Like, I just find that fascinating. And whose idea was that to create that mythology of like just this kind of question mark with Rock Lee and his past, and now of course his son and the generational past. So I have no idea. I think it's a fun thought and a great question, but I have no idea. And I guess they love the mystery of it too, and maybe someday it'll be explained why they've carried on this kind of mystery lineage. Yeah, I don't know. It's very fascinating to me though that there's no origin of Rock Lee and frankly Metal Lee.
A different question that doesn't really pertain to your guys' characters is just your input, because I seen one video of you, Brian, on TikTok, and I kind of avoid knowing who the voice actors are because I feel like it would kind of mess up how I watch the anime. But I'm already on board, so caught up, and it's nice to meet you, Danielle, and you, Brian. But
Nice.
I want to know, who is the coolest character in Naruto to you guys?
Oh, it's a great question. Danielle, do you have one?
I'm gonna say Rock Lee. I've always loved Rock Lee. I'm again not saying that because Brian's here. I just think he's freaking hilarious. And I always wondered like who it, because like he said, we never met. Like, we always worked on sessions alone. And so I was always very intrigued by his character. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Rock Lee because
Wow.
if so, how we do it is, we're dubbing over into English. And so sometimes when we go into sessions, one of us has already, let's say, recorded our lines. So we'll hear a little bit of their voice before our line comes in. And so a lot of times I would hear Brian's voice and it would make me laugh every single time. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Rock Lee.
He is a funny character. I gotta be. You're in my top 5. You're my top 5. Had to let you go, Brian.
Yeah, I love 10-10 and I love Guy Sensei. And maybe it's because I'm most familiar with those voices, because as Danielle said, when we go in and out of the booth, they'll play, if they have pre-recorded, they will play that, to kind of lead us into the scene or out of the whatever, part of the dialogue. And but I've always loved 10-10, and I love Guy Sensei for probably the similar reason that Danielle loves Rock Lee, because I find Guy Sensei so ridiculous and hysterical, and I love what Skip did to his voice. And Lee. I mean, everything was just so. It's just funny, and I've had, as I said, I just met Skip finally, and he's a great guy, and he brings a lot of that to his own life, and but yeah, I've always found Guy Sensei very, very funny. And again, maybe it's the one I'm most familiar with because that was always, the banter. Team 3 was a big part of my life, but also my recording sessions. So, but I love Shikamaru. I joke with Tom Gibbs all the time because I would love like to just be he's essentially the surfer dude, right? And like, just nothing, everything, just, what a drag. And I joke with him all the time because when I'm done the weekends at Comic Cons, I'm thrashed. My voice is thrashed because everybody wants me to do the iconic Rock Lee yells and screams, and Tom's just like over there. What a drag,
That's awesome. We actually get the privilege of interviewing him on December 6th, so that'd be kind of awesome to tell him about that story.
Yeah, he'll have a few stories and a few stories about me and us at Comic Cons. We've been very fortunate because we've done quite a few together now, and he's a great guy. You love him. He's a great interview too. He's a really sweet guy.
Okay, I kind of have one for Danielle, but because you have the Batgirl, you have Kitty Pryde, you have Tenten, all different personalities. So like when you go into like just these roles, how do you prepare for like each one, because they do bring different things to the table? So how do you kind of get into the role of that particular character as opposed to a different one?
Yeah, good question. People ask me this all the time, and honestly, the short answer is that each of these characters, while they're slightly different, most of them are just different versions of myself. So like you're just hearing Tuesday Danielle versus Friday Danielle, morning Danielle, whatever that may be. So I prefer, like, sometimes when we get character descriptions, I love when like there's a little picture of the character so I can just kind of see them, connect with them, and just bring a version of myself. So, I mean, I know that's like really boring, but all of them are similar because they're all me. They're just different versions of me.
No.
So we might get the mean girl Danielle.
Might get Mom Danielle now.
Mom Danielle. That's cool. That's cool. That's a good way to look at
wife
it.
Danielle, whatever. I don't know.
All right. So I know y'all get this all the time. And, Naruto is notoriously known for his fight scenes. Probably the anime with the best fight scenes in history. In the franchise, what is your favorite fight scene? Me personally, it's when Rock Lee fought Gaara and he's sitting there and everything is back against the wall and you think it's over for him and he just reaches down, take off the weights, drops them, and it's a whole new ball game. Like that right there is like a level of hype I can't explain. But I want to get y'all take on what do you feel is the best fight scene in Naruto?
Look, it's one of the most iconic fights in anime history. I feel very lucky and fortunate to be a part of the Gaara fight. I think it introduced a lot of people to anime. It introduced a lot of people to Naruto. Even recording it, we watched it in real time, the Japanese version, because Mary Elizabeth, the director at the time, was like, you got to see this so like what's going on. And even I was struck by like just how unbelievable it was. And I think also for Naruto, like the whole show, I think it just took the whole show to another level where it was like anything goes, your favorites are going to get hurt. They might even die, and that raises the stakes for storytelling, right? Like to a whole nother level. And I think for the fans, like it did it for them. So that's like dreamy to be a part of. And then of course the Drunken Fist Kimimaro fight was the most fun I've ever had in the studio because I don't drink at all. And so because he had to be drunk and I was like, what am I going to do with this? And so when even when I started, I thought I had a good idea. Again, you got to pivot sometimes. Mary Elizabeth's like, no, you're really drunk. And so I had to be like, what? All right. And then I had to like, okay, 60 seconds to figure out what really drunk means and how Rock Lee would do that. And so it was super challenging, super fun. It was the only time, here's a little trivia for you, it's the only time Rock Lee does contract and does get sloppy with his way he speaks. And, so that was really fun too, because I was finally released of that duty of not contracting. And so yeah, it was awesome. Those two fights. And obviously those are my most iconic, fights too. So it makes the most sense, obviously.
That's what about you, Dan? And I want to give a big shout out to my management team that actually reached out to you. Bingus, there you go. That's your question. I told you I wasn't going to ask it, but no, he was not actually drunk during the scene. 'Cause-
I was not actually drunk.
so, all right, I got one question for the both of y'all. Name your top 3 animes of all time.
Oh, wow. All right, Danielle, go for it.
Well, okay, so it's interesting, guys, because I'm not an anime fan, sorry. But I have a son who is 5 and is now getting into anime.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's super into Pokemon. So I've been watching a lot of Pokemon and it's actually pretty cute. So I'm gonna have to say Pokemon. And I have to say Naruto because it's like iconic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Brian, what's the other one you're on? Digimon?
Digimon.
I'm going with Brian. Whatever Brian's on, that's
Yeah. I love that list. Danielle. I think it's a great list. Top 3.
So, Brian, what's your top 3 animes of all time?
Well, look, I mean, bias aside, yeah, Naruto, Digimon, they're both gateway drugs to the anime world. I mean, there was a few before that, obviously Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z. And, I like I love some of the looks of some of these newer ones, Dragon Slayer. Oh my God.
Demon Slayer.
Yeah, Demon. Yeah, I mean, there's just, they're just getting better and better and more beautiful and more graphic and I love kind of like music. You just think, what else can they come up with? And sure enough, you get a new beat, you get a new look, you get a new style, and it's like, wow, So I think that evolution of art in general is always fascinating me. But yeah, the big boys are big boys for a reason. I think Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, there's in One Piece, obviously, but there's so many characters on all these shows that I think what's so beautiful about that is there's someone for everyone, right? There's someone in the show that they relate to, that they can pull from, either the darker side of themselves or the lighter side of themselves or whatever it is, or something they're going through, like Rock Lee, as we mentioned early on with this full circle. It's like he reminds us all that, we just got to get up again, never give up, and those are great lessons, and people are going through stuff. And so when they can come to a show and find that in a show, that comfort, and that relatability, that's amazing. And as a performer, as an artist, that is a gift. I mean, that is the thing that we all strive to do, is like be a part of something, to create something that makes the world a better place, makes someone's experience a better experience, and kind of softens the blow of life sometimes. Yeah, so very lucky.
You two have any advice for any inspiring voice actors out there that's trying to get into the business? What would you tell them?
Brian, I actually really liked your advice of taking an improv class. And that's actually really decently good advice, because like he said, there's a lot of pivoting, there's a lot of quick decisions you have to make. And I would just say, in general, take classes, get around other actors and create stuff with your friends. I mean, especially nowadays, like it's not how it was 20, 30, whatever years ago when I started. Anybody can make anything. So which is awesome, which I think is amazing. So just like start making your own stuff. That's my advice. And you'll learn along the way.
That's amazing. Brian.
Yeah. I mean, all that's it. Just do. And look, as far as like, voice acting or whatever, it's a muscle, right? It's conditioning. It's just like if you want to be in shape, you're not going to do it sitting on the couch playing video games, maybe your thumbs, but you got to hit the gym. You got to go, you got to move your body. And so I think as far as like anything, there's a great saying. It's like, what separates, the genius from the couch potato? The genius got off the couch. It's okay to play video games and watch football or whatever you're into, but eventually you got to get off the couch and share your gifts, share your genius, because we all have it. We all have something to offer the world, and to, as I often say, like, don't let the world tell you who you're going to be. You tell the world who you're going to be. Right. And so you got to get off the couch. You got to do the work. There's, like, as I said, there's no shortcuts. But if you're willing to do the work, either in self-improvement or whatever, the dream that you have, the goal, the purpose, the passion, however you want to label it, do the work, have a clear goal, vibrate with every cell of your body towards that goal. Like do something at least 5 days a week, towards your goal. If you're doing it 1 day a week, not enough. If you're doing it 2 days a week, not enough, because there's someone out there doing it 5 to 6. And that is the reality. And that is your competition, whatever you're doing, not even the arts or whatever you're doing, there's someone working their butt off, and that's your competition. That is the reality. And so, with Rock Lee, full circle, never give up, work hard. And what's the other thing? I work hard and I never give up. That is my gift. That is my ninja way.
I was just about to say that.
Man, we here for it, man. Love it. Thank y'all so much for coming by. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This was Voice of the Heroes podcast. One more time for Danielle Judovits and also Brian Donovan and my co-host Hidden Rose and Milo Uchia. Also, fellas, ladies, let them know where to find you at. Danielle, go first. Where can we find you at?
Instagram, just my name, at Danielle Judovits.
All right, fantastic. Brian, where can we find you at?
Yeah, Instagram, Brian Donovan _1. That's me. Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank
awesome
you.
to celebrate the show, especially from true fans. You guys, you're next level, and we really appreciate it. It means a lot to us.
Like, comment, and subscribe. This is Voice of the Heroes, and we'll catch you next time.
Sing it with me, pretty Cali, pretty Cali, pretty Cali.